We're not too far from Sherman Oaks, North Hollywood, right off the 405. I used to have a guy come here and say that tell his wife he was at Costco. So he would come here, he would have just 2 quick pints, run over to Costco's right next door. So, making a Costco run.
Yeah, exactly. Just to cover his tracks, to show some. Yeah, exactly, dude. That's so funny.
And a lot of people get stuck in traffic and just want a couple pints at the end of the day of work, and if they're heading, outside of LA. So,
absolutely.
We're in a really kind of industrial sort of interesting part of LA, but I think once you find this place and you get to know what we're all about, you almost never want to leave.
Master Drinkers, it's your host Derek Lee Ramsey. Excited to say that we finally are back recording episode 10 of Brews and Masters. And today we're actually in Van Nuys, California. We're going to be featuring MacLeod Ale Brewing Company, where they specialize in cast ales, also known as a real ale. And again, with the whole pandemic going on right now, I can't begin to say enough how excited we are to be back and to be bringing more local breweries your way.
Yeah, that's how we ended up here.
Okay, all right. And what was that opening day like? And it was June of 2014 when you opened, right,
it was
officially?
in June of 2014.
Can you describe what that whole experience was when you actually opened to the public and you had people coming in and drinking your beer?
Yeah, well, you don't know what to expect. You're kind of building this whole thing in a vacuum, and you're thinking, are 3 people going to come? Is 1 person going to come? Does anyone know we're here? And especially building a cask ale brewery in the middle of a hardcore industrial Van Nuys neighborhood is quite sort of a risky or rebellious or silly thing to do. I don't know. So it was nerve-wracking, and it just felt very last minute and haphazard, but we managed to open. I think we had 3 beers on cask, and that was it.
And what was that like? As far as like the people coming in and trying a cask beer for the first time, were they kind of hesitant to try the beer, or were they excited to try a UK version of a beer?
Well, I think that first wave of people who were coming in were people who had been following us. They were excited. It was that first crowd was a very niche crowd. It was the local homebrew clubs, the local British expats, or people. Cask ale is very rare, so it was people who maybe had tried it once and didn't think they'd ever have an opportunity to have it again because there isn't too much of it around here. So it was a curated group of hardcore cask ale enthusiasts.
Gotcha. So in the tasting room here at MacLeod's, like what separates you from like another brewery in Los Angeles or in Southern California in general?
Well, I think it is that we have a very strong theme of what we're doing, and there are a few other breweries that have a strong theme like that, but I really think that we dug into this niche early on, and we've I think some people feel like we've moved away from that because we have introduced cold fizzy beer and more modern beers. But at the core of it, we have just as much cask ale as we have ever had. One of our original cask ales is still in our top 5 popular beers on our beer list, which I think is really impressive.
That is, yeah.
Because we have a wide array of beers now, but we still sell a lot of the King's Taxes in particular. So I just think that we really have strongly adhered to this British theme and try to tie everything into the bagpiping, keep everything consistent and yet not stale and boring. We do fun things. Like one really super fun thing we do a lot is we make these historical beers. We have one on right now on cask. We've made historical IPAs, historical stouts, and these are recipes that come from anywhere from the 1890s to the 1930s, 1940s.
Wow, okay.
And there have been some enthusiasts who have dug through old brewing records of old defunct breweries in England and published recipes, and so they're available. And we've done quite a few of those, specifically Barclay Perkins. Our first brewer was very enamored with Barclay Perkins which was a brewery in London. So we've done a lot of Barclay Perkins recipes, and I really love those because I just like to imagine that I'm a soldier in World War I or World War II, and I'm sitting there in a pub in England drinking one of these beers, and you'd be surprised, like at different periods you would kind of think that style, the older beers, would be weak and bland, but many of them are quite strong and quite flavorful, quite hoppy, and they weren't shy with their flavors. There were some very strongly flavored beers back then.
Cool thing about this pint is you can't get much more British or English than this style of beer. It's typically really low in alcohol content, lightly hopped, balanced between the malt and hops, and it's extremely sessionable, drinkable beer. It's the beer you can literally drink all day if you wanted to. At under 4%, it's a very enjoyable pint, and yeah, it's definitely a house favorite. We always try to have it on tap here at MacLeod Ale. It's one of our, I would say, our core cask beers, and yeah, it's definitely a crowd favorite for sure.
Nice, man. And what flavor should I be expecting to get out of this beer?
There's a lot of like earthy, light floral, super light citrus, light caramel, with a little bit of a sweet aftertaste, but it really finishes dry, and it's well balanced as well too.
Gotcha.
So you got a lot of those English ingredients in it. It's hopped with English variety of hops, all English malt, and then fermented with our house yeast.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Let's dive on in.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cheers to you.
Cheers,
Thanks
brother.
again. Cheers to you, master drinkers.
So yeah, it hits the palate really light.
Very much so, yeah.
If you've ever had a Boddington's, it's probably the closest thing that I could recommend.
I can see that.
It's very similar, but it being poured on cask beer, it's a little bit warmer, so it's really going to bring out some of those delicate flavors that you wouldn't typically get if it was served at typical draft temperature. So and more carbonation. So. Yeah.
What would you say is the main? I mean, outside of the temperature, what would be another main difference between a draft beer and a cask beer?
Well, obviously, like you mentioned, the serving temperature, it's a little bit warmer. We serve the low 50 degree mark. Softer carbonation. It's carbed to like around 1.5 volumes versus our draft beers like up to 2.5, 2.7, depending if it's a lager or an ale. So it's about half the carbonation, and then some of that carbonation actually gets knocked out while it's being poured through the cask engine. So that really creates that really nice thick, tight bubbled head, which maintains flavor and freshness as you're drinking it. Yeah, the main things are, it's just, typically the beers that do the best in that style of beer production or storage and serving are, a little bit more balanced, lower hopped, a lot more on the, maltier side of things. If you try to put a cask beer make a beer on cask, or serve a typical American IPA on cask, it's just going to be too overwhelming to the palate. It being lower carbonation and warmer temperature, it's really going to bring out the flavors almost too much. You really want to look for a nice balanced beer on cask, and
I see.
It's kind of what we focus most of our cask beers are either based off historical styles or traditional pub beers, and a lot of our clientele really gravitates towards that. Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, I mean, just based off trying this for the first time, you definitely described it really well. Honestly, it's everything you said it was. It's very light. The Boddington's was the closest one. I was like, that's exactly what that reminded me of. 100%. Yeah, it's a fantastic beer. Highly recommend this, master drinkers. Come on out, especially if you want to try a cask beer for the first time. I think this is a nice starter beer to go about that style.
Exactly.
Would you agree to that?
Yeah, it's definitely one of the more popular styles on cask. Or, some people might have been, have had a similar beer like Boddington's or Old Speckled Hen. It's basically our version. And it being under 4%, you can have pint after pint, chat with your friends, stay at the pub all day, and not have to worry about, getting
stumbling home or something
getting
like
a little too crazy. So,
for sure. I'm gonna take one more sip of this one here. This is fantastic.
It's a hard one to stop drinking because it's very light. I mean, it's kind of like the English version of a light lager, really, to American standards.
Yeah.
It's kind of a beer you can crush all day long.
Oh, absolutely.
So yeah, now we're moving along to something a little different. It's a pilsner on draft. So this one being, we call it backwards in a taxi. It's a rice pilsner. It's made with mostly imported German pilsner malt and a little bit of actually puffed red rice. So what you're getting is, it's going to be a light, balanced, finishes dry style pilsner, highly carbed, notes of almost like jasmine tea and, toasty, finishes dry, balanced again. We like a lot of our beers typically are pretty well drinkable and balanced. And the naming behind this beer was when we took a UK trip last year to tour breweries and to do like somewhat of an educational tour of UK and did a beer collaboration. The day we landed, one of our brewers was riding backwards in a taxi and was starting to feel real sick after a whole day of traveling.
Oh, geez.
So we're just like, we had a rice pilsner in the tank at that time, and we're just like, that'd be a fun name for a beer. And we modeled the can design off of a UK taxi. So we're trying, tying in like somewhat UK inspirational, labeling. But although it's a German hybrid style beer.
Gotcha.
So if you like light, moderately hopped, light, balanced, really crisp style of beer, this one will definitely be for you.
Let's dive on in.
Yeah.
Cheers to you.
Yeah. Cheers, man.
Cheers, master drinkers. Yeah, that's fantastic. I feel like every time I take a sip, it gets better for me. Like it's right up my alley, man. That's the kind of beer that I would drink every day, regardless of the occasion.
Yeah.
That's the beer that I gravitate towards.
We use a variety called Irix Pilsner. It comes straight from Germany. It's not as popularly used on the West Coast of the United States, but we get it through a company out of Texas that brings it right from Germany. So,
gotcha.
Really good ingredients, really good Pilsner malt. It's hopped with another German noble variety, Hallertau Mittelfrüh. It's just light, enjoyable, really crisp. And this is a beer that won't always be on draft for us, but it's kind of a fun beer we bring back every once in a while. It just goes to show that we can, we started off doing traditional English beers, but we've slowly but surely moved into German, German lagers and pilsners, and it's just for me, it just kind of highlights, the variety of beers that we can produce and serve here.
So what's this last one we have here?
So this last one, since we did a cask beer, and then we went on to a higher carbed, colder draft beer. This one is nitro. So it's more of a modern way of pouring cask beer. It was nitrogen style beers were developed by Guinness, and it was meant to reflect cask, but more using modern technology and easier to dispense and serve and produce. This is basically our version of Guinness. This is our core Irish dry stout. People really like it. It's almost always on nitro for us. And it drinks really smooth. There's light bitter chocolate notes, and keeping it low ABV. It's definitely still sessionable. Really dark in color, but it really hits the palate nice and light and finishes dry. So unlike a lot of other stouts, this one is a dry stout modeled after Guinness, and it goes down really easy, and hits your palate light and still leaving you with a little bit of those roasty, toasty chocolate notes.
Nice.
Yeah.
And how long has this beer been on the tap room here?
We pretty much keep it consistently on for the last 3 years.
Okay.
3 years
So
or so.
it's always going to be here essentially, right?
It really is a staple.
Okay.
So
nice, man.
It's almost, if you're a Guinness fan, I would definitely highly recommend coming to try this. It's going to have has a little bit more, I would say a little bit more all around like roasted chocolatey flavors, but yet it's along the same lines as Guinness.
Cool.
So more of the craft version, in my opinion.
Oh, dude, I'm excited to dive on in.
Let's try this.
All right, once again, cheers to you.
Cheers, buddy.
Cheers to you, master drinkers. One for the house.
So it being nitrogenated, it's low in carbonation. It's
so
creamy. It's lightly roasty. You get some chocolate notes and.
I do get the dark chocolate notes. I get like roasted peanuts as well.
Yeah, kind of nutty.
Yeah, very much so. Fantastic. And you're right, it is very light on the palate. I know the dark color sometimes throws off the casual beer drinker. This is not heavy at all, master drinkers. Not heavy at all. Very light, rich in flavor. Yeah, I mean, dare I say it's better than Guinness. I'm just going to say it. Fantastic, dude. That's a fantastic beer. Well done on this one. This is right up my alley. And how would you describe the atmosphere here in the tasting room? Like with people coming in and giving you that feedback?
It's very, even though we're in the middle of a warehouse in Van Nuys, it's very pub culture. We have a lot of regulars. We've got a lot of awesome people. There's, diehard fans that are here every day at opening. I have to get, there are a couple, cask beer pints in by the end of the night, and it goes from that to our Friday night crowd. It's a little bit younger, a little bit more like younger age, clientele, and there's nothing better than finishing a brew day and sitting back with a few patrons and talking to them about the beer and about what's going on in their lives. I mean, that's kind of what beer is. It's a social thing. It's definitely enjoyable to be able to be on both sides of that. Mm-hmm.
We just live down the street and we found this gem. It's a great pizzeria, it's a great brewery. So yeah, we decided to come work down here. It's our spot.
That's nice. You can bring laptops and have a couple beers. It's nice to meet up with people somewhere that's close by. It's hard to find some place like this that's in the valley.
Gotcha. And what are you drinking today?
I'm drinking Van Nuys because as a Brazilian, I love light beer, and I love that it's not too bitter and not too like weird and shit. Like it's just yum,
Yeah.
And it's gluten free. So as someone that can't have gluten, this is like holy grail.
There we go. Awesome. And what are you drinking, Ronnie?
I'm drinking number 9. It's Better Daze. It's a pale ale. It's my go-to. I try all the beers here because they're all phenomenal, but that's my go-to, number 9.
Nice. What are you drinking?
Yes, I'm drinking Deal with the Devil. I'm an IPA lover, so this one is definitely my go-to pretty much every single time.
If someone were coming out for the first time and they wanted to know, like, what should I expect? How would you describe that?
Ooh, I think it's a little bit different during quarantine times versus normal times. Now in quarantine, it's nice that they have so much more outdoor, like patio, table seating, so it's kind of nice, like day into night. It's really easy, and it's nice to have like some pizza while you're drinking if you get hungry, having that option.
It's never too loud.
Yeah.
It's always great people, great environment, great vibes, great conversation. A lot of games. Usually when it's not COVID, they have peanuts everywhere, so you can just grab peanuts and eat them as much as you want. And yeah, that's an awesome little gem.
See, I've never been here outside of quarantine. It's only my second time, and I was introduced by Ronnie to this spot, but it's already like my favorite spot. It's so good. But I love that I actually really like that it's not too busy, but I feel like everyone always feels okay to talk to each other, even if they're not sitting with each other. We've had like multiple conversations last time we were here with different people for different reasons, so it feels very comfortable. It was very homey, very like chill, and everybody seems like, you could be a friend that I bump like by every day.
Yeah.
So that's nice.
What brings you out to MacLeod's today?
Just enjoying a good day off, and just wanted to try something different kind of beer.
How often would you find yourself hanging out at MacLeod's?
I'm here pretty often, also for their pizza. Just
really pizza.
So that's mainly why we come. But the beer is just an extra plus for it.
What are you both drinking?
So I'm having the coffee time porter. It's really smooth, so I like that. It has a good strong coffee flavor without being overbearing. It's a good balance.
I'm drinking a Deal with the Devil. Just pretty much just for the overall pretty much potent contents that it has. It's just a smooth beer. The higher the better.
What beer would you recommend that you're not drinking right now, or like a style of beer that they make here that you would recommend to someone coming out to visit for the first time?
There's just so many. They change very frequently, so I guess whatever is in season, you just have to try all of them, honestly.
What was that summer flavor they have? It's like a lemon.
Oh yeah, a lemon ice or
Lemon
something.
ice. That one was nice. It had like a really nice sour notes to it.
Nice.
So I like that one a lot.
On your webpage, you've unofficially announced this place as the Van Nuys Village Hall. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, when Alistair and I got together, we talked quite a bit about how one of the big differences between the United States and the UK is that in the UK there are village halls everywhere, and that's really missing here. And the village hall is just sort of a community space that's open to everyone, and everything happens there. School events, plays, rummage sales, all kinds of stuff, and you just really don't have that here. And so originally when we got together, we didn't have the brewery. Our house was sort of the village hall, and then he even made a sign that said village hall. We stuck it on one of the doors in our house, and we just really wanted MacLeod to be a community space. We felt like we had a lot of space here, and if anyone wanted to come and use it for any reason, you know, as long as it was legal for all the parameters that we have to abide by, then we loved sharing the space and making it available to the community for whatever, whether it was a yoga class or something to do with dogs, or, you know, dog adoptions, or, you know, we've had a variety of things over the years. So we just enjoy doing that.
And I'm assuming everyone in Van Nuys has been very supportive.
Oh yeah, it's, you know, it's been an amazing little hub. There's really nothing like it, and it's just been an opportunity for people in Van Nuys to get to know each other. A lot of friendships have been formed here, very like lifelong friendships that started because people met each other here over beer, the way it should be, the way it is in a British pub. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's been a great addition to the fabric of Van Nuys.
MacLeod Ale, we've been doing, you know, traditional pub style beers, classic German pilsner lagers, and English and American style balanced ales. There's definitely a need to, especially right now, there's definitely a need to progress and to try to experiment a little more. And the more we started doing that, the farther I felt like we were getting from, you know, what MacLeod has always stood for. So, you know, the team here at MacLeod came up with an idea to create a second brand.
So this idea has been percolating for a long time, but finally Stephen convinced me, because he was saying that he felt bad brewing beers that he didn't feel fit the MacLeod brand. We do get flack from that sometimes, you know, like for brewing an American light lager or something like that. It doesn't bother me. I just think beer's fun. I don't really feel like we're ruining the brand, but I think it was inhibiting to Stephen, because he felt like he was doing harm to the brand by wanting to do some more modern beers. So we decided this would be a great time to create something new, which we've been planning on for a long time. So we decided to just name it Nuys Beer Co. And we're just going to be, you know, all the wacky stuff that doesn't fit the MacLeod brand, we're just going to put it on there and see how it goes. So it's nothing too serious. We're just, you know, we don't necessarily have any big plans. We're just seeing how it goes and just having fun. And yeah.
And are these beers going to be available in the tap room specifically?
For now, everything is just available in the tap room. The Nuys Beer Co. beers are going to be primarily canned. We'll probably do a keg or two of them so you can taste them in the tap room. But they're fun. Like this one is already in cans. This one is called Delano Daze, and this is our first, was it? No, it's a hazy double IPA. It's not our first hazy. And it's not our first double IPA, but it's our first hazy double IPA. Yeah. So that was a good start. And then we got this guy coming out next month, Calvert Crush. We actually already did Calvert Crush.
Okay.
as a MacLeod beer. So this is just sort of a rebranding because we're moving it over to Nuys Beer Co. And then this one is a sour. We're doing our first kettle sour. So it's a Goza.
Very exciting. Very exciting.
Yeah. So we're just, having fun. We're probably even going to do seltzers and
a bunch of other fun beers.
Yeah,
why not?
Whatever.
One of our newer beer options is it's not on draft because we're focusing more on cans rather than offering experimental styles on draft all the time. So this product is our hazy double. First time doing a hazy double IPA.
I'm gonna bring this in a frame here so our viewers can definitely get a glimpse of that beautiful can art. Look at that.
So
I can't get over that. That is amazing. That just really stands out.
It's this is a hazy IPA with Eldorado Mosaic and Simcoe.
Simcoe hops.
So the idea behind that is just sort of your really tropical, stone fruity, citrus flavored hops used all at the tail end of the brew. So you're using almost all in the whirlpool and dry hopping. And those massive additions will create a little bit of bitterness, but really you're bringing out the tropical, stone fruit, citrus flavors. Rather than like your traditional West Coast IPAs, which is all about, IBUs and bitterness and whatnot. So this kind of blends a little bit of that citrus, almost dank, kind of typical West Coast dank with a little bit more of that modern tropical fruit citrus notes.
Yeah.
So this was kind of, if I wanted to approach double IPA here at MacLeod, this is kind of the way I kind of wanted to get into doing it.
Gotcha.
Still keeping balance, got that creamy mouthfeel. It's a little bit hazy. We use raw wheat, flaked oats, and blend between our English lager malt and Pilsner malt. So.
Okay, nice, man, for sure. So it still kind of has that UK twang to it, right?
Some of our experimental recipes will have some English ingredients, but really it gets overshadowed by the massive hop additions and the juicy character they're going for. And our hazies right now are fermented with Quebec style yeast.
Okay.
And fermented at pretty warm temperatures to help bring out even more of that fruity character.
Yeah. All right.
Let's see what you think. Yeah.
Cheers to you again.
Yeah, cheers, buddy.
Thank you for breaking out the special can for us.
Yeah. Yeah, anytime.
Oh, the nose on that. That's just citrus. It's all OJ, tangerine.
Citrus, yep. Tangerine. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Get out of here with this one, man. Get out of here with that.
I'm pretty proud of this one. It's, again, my first attempt at a hazy double. We've done a few IPAs, and I feel like this was our first step into a new direction under our new label. And I feel like if you're not gonna, that's a hazy. What a better way to do it than a hazy double IPA?
Absolutely. What was the ABV on this one again? I'm sorry.
It's 8%.
8%. Okay.